Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Chat with Derick. I am your host, Derick Fage, and very pleased to introduce our next guest. He is a wonderful author and just an amazing story to share with everybody out there as we all go through our own ups and downs in this roller coaster ride of a pandemic. My next guest has gone through a roller coaster ride of his own through many challenges in his life. I am joined by Jamieson Wolf. Jamieson, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
First and foremost, how are you and your family doing?
We're doing well. We're surviving day by day. My husband is at home as well, and then my cat is very happy.
I can imagine. Pets around the world have actually probably loved this experience.
Oh, I mean, he rejoices every day. He's like, "Oh, you're home, Daddy. Okay, good. Let's play." But no, we're doing well. It's a day by day thing. You know, some days are good, some days are bad. But you know, at least we're together.
Yeah, exactly. In my introduction, I mentioned that you've gone through your own challenges in life. So, you know, take us back, Jamieson, to your first diagnosis and explain that journey for us.
Well, I mean, I was born with spastic cerebral palsy. So I was beginning to have, issues. And at one point, I woke up New Year's Eve day on December 31st, 2012, and I couldn't walk. I had vertigo, nausea. It was, pretty awful. And then eventually when I stopped being able to speak properly and type properly, I went to the hospital. And I was lucky that there was a neurologist on staff in the emergency ward.
Okay.
And he said, it looks like it's multiple sclerosis, but we'll have to do testing to see. And then, so January until August, I didn't know what was going on until I got the official diagnosis, August 21st, the day before my birthday. And it was relapsed and remitting multiple sclerosis.
So what does that mean exactly? Explain that to us.
Well, there's a variety of symptoms that I have. So I think there's a list of 28 symptoms. And they go and they come back. And right now, lately I've been having crushing fatigue and brain fog and pain. I'm almost always in pain, but whatever, you can't live. But then, so then that pain might go away and might be replaced with something else like tremors or something. And every time a symptom comes back, it's different. So the body, it's always changing.
So is there anything you can do for the pain at all, Jamieson?
Well, I'm on medication for pain medication, but I think because I have spastic cerebral palsy and the MS causes spasms as well, there's not much I can do. So I've learned to live with it,
With the so we've described the multiple sclerosis. Tell me a little bit about the spastic cerebral palsy and how that's affected you.
Oh, I was born with that. Yeah, and so that just means before the MS, it meant I was in pain somewhere in my body every day, all day. And it causes spasticity. I can't pronounce that word. Spasms.
It's not an easy one.
I'm a writer, not a talker. But so that causes spasms in the body. But again, I was born with that, so I'd lived with that my entire life. And it causes, there's, some difficulty walking, and I have learning disabilities because of it. So the two of them should not be together. I should not have, according to medical science, I should not have MS and CP at the same time.
Really? So this is a very unique situation. This isn't something doctors see very often.
No, I think my neurologist says there's only one other person that has CP and MS at the same time. I figure, if you can't, I guess go big, right?
Go big or go home. Yeah.
Yeah, gonna do something. I'm gonna go big.
So, through all of this, Jamieson, I'm sure you've had some difficult and dark times, and I know it's difficult for anybody to go through those, but maybe you can sort of walk us through some of the more difficult periods in your life dealing with these issues.
Well, it was, when I first saw the doctor in April, I thought, okay, well, I can deal with a disease that MS is on top of a disability. I thought it was going to be okay. But I mean, after being bedridden for a month and almost losing my job because of the MS, and dealing with a difficult, boyfriend at the time, he called me broken. And essentially thought I was broken. And so when the diagnosis came, that was like it. And I thought, I can do this, I can do this. But turns out I didn't do it very well. I was putting on a brave front, and I almost took my own life in May of 2013, just because it got to be too much. There was so much going on mentally. I call it the dark forest, right?
Right.
I couldn't see through the trees. I couldn't see the sunlight. I couldn't see the positivity that I needed. And eventually, in I guess October, I got rid of the boyfriend, and I just decided to change my life. That this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I wanted to do with my life. That I wanted more.
What changes did you make, Jamieson, at that time?
Well, I started dealing with the mental and the spiritual. So I started doing workshops on like tarot readings and like reading tarot cards and learning about Reiki, learning about manifestation, knowing that you get back what you put out in the world, right? So
Right.
I wanted to attract the good stuff towards me, and I really started focusing on self-love. Long road for that, long road.
Yeah.
But if I couldn't at least love myself, what was the point of trying to find someone else to love me?
And
Um,
you did find somebody else to love you.
yeah.
Tell me about your relationship and how that came to be, you and your husband.
Oh, well, Michael is my rock and my prince. I often tell him that, I dreamed of him long ago when I was a, young gay kid trying to find love in the world. But no, we met online, and I wasn't going to go. I wasn't going to go for the date. And I said, no, I'm not going to go. I've been damaged too many times already. And hurt too many times. So I wanted to protect myself. And my mother was like, just go. It's coffee. Just go. That's it. And well, she said, she swore at me.
She sounds like my mom. My mom would have sworn at me too, for sure.
Yeah, she's like, just bleep go. And it's like, okay, fine, I'll go. And I think I fell in love with him in the first moment I saw him.
Really?
And he was kind, like he was unbelievably kind. Like he would hold the door open for me, and it was like I was like so used to doing things on my own, and I was like, well, I can hold the door open myself. He's like, I know, but a gentleman holds open the door.
Nice.
And kindness. And then he said, when I told him about the MS and the CP, he said that quite often in our society, weakness and illness are seen. Sickness can be seen as a weakness, as opposed to the strength it really is. So I was like, okay, well, you can stay. I guess you can stay. Over we've been together for 6 years. 7 years this year, and 7 years in April actually. Married for 3.
Nice.
And we have yet to have a fight, a disagreement, or an argument of any kind.
Amazing.
And I've never had that. He showed me what love really was every day.
You mentioned your mom to me. I was going to ask you about that family support, because the support from friends and family is incredibly important. You had a previous relationship and someone that didn't support you, and I could see, just how you described it, how much that hurt you. But
Yeah.
The support of your mom and friends and family, tell me how important that was, because I've been in that situation where I wanted to take my own life, and
Yeah.
you've been in that situation. What usually brings you out of that is you realize the investment that a lot of people have put into you over the years of time and love. Was that something that helped you through all of this?
Well, it's funny, when the MS diagnosis came, I thought, that's it. No one else needs to see me like this. Like, I completely closed off. So I cut out all my friends and my most of my family. My mother was always there. That was non-negotiable.
Right.
But over time, I realized I couldn't do this on my own. I didn't have to, because I was so used to doing everything by myself. But I needed to let other people help me. I needed to be open to that. So I welcomed them back, and thankfully they took me back. But they've been, my mother has been, like my husband Michael, like my mother is one of my rocks.
Yeah.
I call her Wonder Mom, and she calls me Wonder Son. Uh, you know,
Nice.
but I mean, she really is my Wonder Mom. I mean,
Yeah.
she believes in me when I don't believe in myself, and she knows what I'm capable of. So if I'm, you know, not trying to reach my full potential, she'll give me the kick in the butt that I need. And she's a total support, and I don't know what my life would be like without her.
Yeah.
And my friends they're my family. Because I call them my heart family. They're more than friends. They're everything. But yeah, if I didn't have them, I don't know what my life would be like now.
Yeah, you're making me emotional as you describe it because it's so important. And I think sometimes, you mentioned that fog that you were in, and sometimes when we're in that fog, it's really difficult to see any light, you know, on the other side of it. And thank goodness that you did, because then you decided you'd start sharing your story, and you penned a book called Little Yellow Magnet. And I
Indeed.
want to talk about the inspiration behind this and when you decided to put pen to paper, and why you thought it was incredibly important, not only for you, but for others to understand, your story and your journey.
Well, it was at first I had a friend ask me like, "Are you ever going to write a book about your experiences?" And I have a blog called Two Steps at a Time, about living with CP and MS. But I thought, nope, nope, no book, because that's enough. That's
Right.
enough. Who's going to care about my story? And then I don't really know what the seed was, but something got planted, and I thought, well, why not write? Like I always say, sparkle on, right? I
Right.
always focus on positivity. It's harder, especially lately with the pandemic, it's hard to focus on positivity, but I always try to. I always try to sparkle. So I thought, what if I write a book about what I've done positivity wise, and that book was only 28 pages long. I was like, well, that's not gonna work. And
Yeah. It's
like
going to be
that's
hard to get people to buy into a 28-page book, right?
Well, yeah, and it was like, but and then I thought about it, and I thought, really, I have to tell the whole story, from beginning to end, in order for them, well, for me too, to see my growth and my progress, and then for others to hopefully be inspired by it, to live a better life. So, I mean, that's why I said, well, okay, I'm going to write everything. And my mother at the time was like, why are you going to write a book about this? It's like, well, I kind of have to, because I've been carrying around that history of myself for a
Right.
long time, and I thought how cathartic it would be to put pen to paper or finger to keyboard, as it were.
Yeah, and so tell me about that. Was it cathartic? Was it, something that you once you started doing it, you felt that, it was a great need that was perhaps missing for you?
It was actually because my the boyfriend that I mentioned that called me broken. Like I talk about everything in the book. It's
Right.
it's an all. And so I talk about suicide. I talk about emotional abuse because the ex-boyfriend, thank goodness, never hit me. But the abuse was emotional. It was
Mm.
all to the surface, and I realized I'd been holding on to all of that, and I don't know, judging myself based on what he thought of me. Um, Even after being with Michael for some time,
Yeah.
and and so that got that out, and it reminded me how much I've really accomplished. Like if ever I think I haven't done anything with my life, I just sit down and read the book or listen to it on audio. I had a reader read it for audio, Audible.
Yeah.
So it's paperback, ebook, and audiobook. But so I listened to that. But if ever I need to remind myself what I've accomplished, if ever I'm having a down moment, that's why it's there.
Well, let's take a moment and talk about what you've accomplished, because, living with both of these conditions, for a lot of people, it would be, you know, I know it was devastating for you, but you've managed to, find a way out, and find a way through it, and find that sparkle, that
Yeah.
you always talk about. You know, if somebody, no matter what challenge they're going through, maybe you could give them some advice on, how you can pull through something like that.
Um, well, I think from my learning experience, the first and foremost is don't shut everyone away. Um, don't do this alone because you can't. As strong as you think you are, you're not that strong. You can't do it. You could, but you can't do it alone. You shouldn't have to. And you know, I don't know. What I've learned too is that tomorrow's always another day. If the MS has taught me anything, it's what to be grateful for and what to be thankful for. I mean, okay, so there are some days where I can't walk very well. Well, I can still write. I can still tell stories. I can still, there's a gift every day. Even in the darkest moments, there's a way to see some light somewhere.
I know that you also paint. You paint in abstracts. Has art always been an important part of your life? When did the arts come into your life?
Well, I think I always drew as a kid. Like I drew and I told stories, and I started with pencil and charcoal. But the abstract just sort of came. I was working with Conte and pastel,
Okay.
and then I took a paint night and they use acrylic paint, and I was like, oh, I love this. Oh. But then, so I did a couple of those, and it's like, well, it's great. I'm just replicating what the artist did. Okay, well, take this and use this brush and all of this, and it's like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to do my thing. So I just bought a bunch of canvases, bought a bunch of acrylic paint, had no idea what I was doing, none at all, and started having fun. And that was a few years ago now. And painting for me is like another way to write a story.
Right.
I find when I get writer's block or the story isn't working for me, I'll put a canvas on my easel and paint something, and it just clears everything out because I don't know, I paint until I'm done. If
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
There's
no, it does. Yeah.
no rhyme
Does
or
it? Do you have an idea in mind before you put brush to canvas, or does it just come out of you organically?
organically, but I see whenever I try to paint something, it doesn't work. I get pissed off at the canvas, and it's like, no, I don't like you, go away. But so what I do is I get colors in my head. Like right
Okay.
now, I do want to paint a canvas full of reds, and that's all I have in my head. Maybe a bit of orange somewhere, but so I'll pull out paints and make a color palette for the painting until it works for me, until the colors look like they'll mesh well, and then I'll go to it. I'll just paint. And I call them spirit paintings more than anything else because it's all, like my writing, painting, like it's me on the canvas.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned spirit and you've mentioned spirituality as well during this conversation. How important has spirituality been for you
Uh,
through all of this?
it's been so important. I mean, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I don't know. It helps me find my balance. I have, rocks and crystals. I have, and that kind of thing. I read tarot cards and I practice Reiki, and that's all. Reiki, especially, is all about using the body's energy to heal other people. So I think of what I put out there, and it's all about the spirituality is my base. And I don't know, it brings light into my life. If that
I
makes sense.
wonder, you and I have a mutual friend, George, the personal trainer, and I wonder if he perhaps has been part of your inspiration because I know George has helped me not only physically but certainly mentally and spiritually. Has he been a big help for you throughout your journey?
He's been a help, I have to say. He's been a constant guide, a signpost, as it were.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but it just and then we talk about painting together, and he's interviewed me before the pandemic, about my books and my writing. Just he's always been this constant, just I don't know, nice person.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
he really is. He's got. You mentioned your husband, that kindness that he has, and I think George has that characteristic as well. Everyone that I talk to about George, kindness is one of the first things that come out of their mouth.
yeah, well, I think of George and I see light.
Yeah.
It's the light that comes from him, and it's like I try to sparkle, so I try to put light out in there to the world. So
I want to talk. You mentioned the pandemic, and I
Yeah,
wanted to talk to you about that because it's been a roller coaster ride of emotions for so many of us. For you in particular, dealing with medical conditions, and I think it was off camera that you mentioned to me that you thought you were an introvert, and you've learned different through
yeah.
this pandemic. So tell me how you've been dealing with it, and what you've learned about yourself.
Um, well, I mean, the pandemic has taught me what having anxiety is like for the first time in my life. Never had anxiety attacks or panic
Really?
before. Oh, never. But I don't know, the pandemic just closes everything in. And working at home, living at home, like I don't really go out because of the MS.
Right.
So I'm immunocompromised. I have to be careful. So I'm at home all the time, and the world has gotten smaller. Um, and so again, I have to sparkle brighter because of that. And dealing with depression as well, because I have
Yeah.
chronic, double depression. It was a critical on top of the clinical depression for some time, and
Okay.
I dealt with that. But then I find during the pandemic, the depression is coming more often, right? So I have to remind myself to, okay, what am I grateful for today? When I wake up in the morning, it's like, okay, think, so today the sun is shining. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my husband. And that puts me in the positive frame of mind that I need to take on the day. But yeah, so just being careful, just listening to my body, listening to
Right.
my mind and my spirit, and it's like, okay, today is a day where I'm just going to sit and read, because that's what I need. So it's just listening to what I need and what the body needs, and being kinder to myself.
I think what's interesting too, Jameson, is the fact that you are a writer and you are a painter. You're an artist, and so you find yourself alone because doing those things. It usually you find yourself in a position where you want to be alone, right? Because you want to concentrate on the
Yeah.
writing and the painting, and so you probably felt that you were an introvert. However, now you're no longer able to go into work. Did you find that you miss that interaction, even though you thought of yourself as an introvert?
I really do. I mean, I thought, like you said, I thought like, okay, well, I'm writing, I'm painting, I'm alone, and I'm so used to doing things alone, and I'm okay, this will be fine. And it's like, no, it's not fine. I miss people. I miss my coworkers. I miss my friends at work, and at first I was thankful for social media, thankful for being able to still be connected to people. But it sucks. It
Yeah.
does suck. Like FaceTiming with my mother. It's like, "Hi, mom." But and but that's the way of the world right now. And I realized that I'm more of an extrovert than I thought I was. And we all need alone time. We all need time for ourselves. Like I think of it as my hermit time. Like in the tarot, there's the hermit
Right.
card, and that's always to withdraw a bit. Be kind to yourself, listen to your spirit, give your spirit what it needs. But we can't be hermits all the time. We need that social interaction, and I've learned that about myself during this pandemic. The hard way. Um, there's only so much time I can spend talking to my cat.
Yeah, people might start to wonder,
Well, I
if it
talked to
be.
him. Yeah, I talked to him anyway, and he always agreed. So
That's the great thing about pets is they never disagree with you, for
exactly.
sure. Yeah, has that? I mean, that's interesting because I imagine, I wonder, and I haven't done any research on it, but I would imagine that a lot of people have decided during the pandemic to get a pet in order to have that companionship. I mean, I don't know if you've had pets your whole life or not, Jameson, but I mean, has that been helpful?
Well, it has. Oh my God, it's been so helpful. Actually, we got Anakin. We've had him for just over a year, but we got
Okay.
him January 2nd of last year. So oddly enough, like pretty much right before the pandemic hit. And having an animal in your home, and all they want is love and affection and treats and food and playtime.
Yeah.
So I'll be working, at my desk or in my office, and he'll come up and he'll start meowing behind my chair, and it's like, oh, sorry, Daddy's ignoring you. Okay, and we'll get up and play. You know, he'll be like, it's playtime now, Daddy. Let's go. Come on. But he just wants love. And he's been a grounding force in our lives, my husband and I, right now, because all he wants is love. and that's all we should really give out to the world right now. So he reminds me what really matters is like, hey, so after I finish my working in my office for work day during the week, I take half an hour to sit on the floor and play with Anakin,
Nice.
and throw the spring so he chases it. So I take that time with him.
Jamieson, have you followed the news closely? I mean, I think we've all decided in our own way whether we want to follow a lot, a little, up and down. And if you have or not, did you feel that you needed to, or did you feel that you needed to stay away from it for your own mental health? How have you dealt with that part of it?
Well, I mean, you have to be informed. I mean, I believe that knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
The more knowledge you have, the more powerful you are, theoretically. But then, so I cut off the news like at around 9:30 at night. It's like, no, I can't, because I want to go to bed. I want to sleep well. And there's too much BS right now going on in the world. And so, but you have to be informed. I want to keep informed about the vaccine, about everything in the world. But you have to turn it off sometimes. You can't watch the news all the time because it's going to drag you down. So I find for me it's establishing a balance. So I don't post new stuff on my Facebook very often. Trump being banned off Twitter, I posted because that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank God. Thank whoever you want, but about time. But there's only so much news you can take. So it's finding that balance, whatever works for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've had moments where from morning till midnight I'm following it, and then I've had moments where, oh my goodness, and plus I'm in the media, so I need to be informed, not only because of personal interest like yourself and many others, but I also need to be able to have conversations and understand what's happening in the world. It's incredibly important. But I agree with you. It's also important to step back. And as a matter of fact, during the pandemic, with more time on my hands, I've actually spent less time on social media, which I think surprised myself a bit. But I think it was necessary for my own mental health. As far as social media, how closely do you follow the news on social media, and have you found any difference? Have you been on social media more than you had in the past?
I'd say it's about the same.
Okay.
Because I always post my tarot cards of the day, and every day I post a picture of Anakin because how can I not? He's too cute.
Well, it makes people. Yeah, it's cat. Everyone wants to see pets.
Well, and I've had
Always brings a smile.
friends and family are like, I live for those pictures every day. So it's like, okay, I can't let them down.
Nice.
But no, I get my news for it. Like I'll listen to CBC in the morning. I watch a bit of the CTV news at lunchtime and a bit during the evening, but that's about it. Social media is like it's my place to be positive in the world. So I post memes or memes and sayings or positive things. So I try to make my Facebook wall sparkle so that people get joy in some way. I try to stay away from negativity, and unfortunately that's what the news is about right now. So again, I try to send sparkles out there into the world.
And we appreciate it. That's for sure. Tell everybody where they can pick up a copy of Little Yellow Magnet.
Well, you can find it on Amazon, and you can find it on Kobo, as well as you can find it at Books on Beechwood.
Excellent. Terrific. Well, thanks so much for spending time with us, Jamieson. Really appreciate it, and all the best to you and your family.
Thank you, Derick, very much.
Take care.
Take care, you too.